Good evening, everyone. I'm David Molko. We begin tonight with a husband and his hitman accomplice sentenced to decades in prison in connection with the murder-for-hire plot that killed his wife. Let's bring in John Adams, who was at the Clark County Courthouse and is in the newsroom with the details. John?
Yeah, good evening, David. A jury had previously found James Rummel guilty of hiring Riley to kill his wife under the guise of a burglary gone wrong. In court, we not only heard from loved ones of Lindy Rummel, but of both men who were sentenced today.
In a Clark County courtroom on Friday morning,
you were supposed to be her protector. You were supposed to keep her safe.
James Rummel listened to statements from loved ones of his wife, Lindy.
You could have stopped the plan so many different times. You could have walked away. You could have filed bankruptcy. Anything besides hiring your old prison buddy to murder your wife.
A jury found Rummel guilty of first-degree murder for hiring Daryl Riley to kill Lindy in March 2024, while staging it as a burglary gone wrong. But just days after Lindy's death, a friend of Riley's called law enforcement to tell them that Riley admitted to the plot, saying he shot the victim multiple times. Riley would eventually take a plea agreement and testify against Rummel in court, while also claiming he was on methamphetamine at the time. A judge sentenced Riley to 20 years behind bars.
I could say that alcohol and drugs had an effect on this, but there's no excuse. And I wish I could treat her places. I truly do.
Rummel had previously told investigators that he and his wife were having financial troubles at the time. Lindy's loved ones questioning why he decided to take her life instead of asking for help.
You could have protected the woman that you promised to love, and instead you chose a path that ended her life and devastated ours.
Rummel also briefly speaking before hearing his sentence.
I've been found guilty through circumstances and lies. Am I upset? You bet I am. Do I care? Absolutely. I care for your feelings, although you hate me.
After his statement, the judge sentenced Rummel to life in prison without the possibility of release, plus an additional 20 years.
Well, James Rummel had previously told detectives that he and Riley had met each other in prison years before Lindy's murder. David?
John Adams with our top story. Thanks so much, John. Let's switch to a live look now from our Wells Fargo sky camera. Sunshine and blue skies on a beautiful Friday evening overlooking downtown Portland and the Willamette. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Safina now tracking the potential for thunderstorms in the Cascades. Matt.
Yeah, David, the clouds over the valley are thinning out right now, which is nice to see that filtered sunshine. But watching Doppler radar, we got a skinny line of showers right along the Cascade crest. More activity farther south and west, but notice what you don't see. No lightning strikes on the map here, which is great. So we may be getting a few sprinkles. A lot of this rain is likely evaporating before it even reaches the ground. That's called virga because the air mass is dry. We had a few lightning strikes off the coast there, but those have ended as well. That doesn't mean we can't get some storms firing up later on, even overnight, which is somewhat rare for the Northwest to get nocturnal thunderstorms when they develop in the late night hours after sunset. But it's possible tonight, given the dynamics and the conditions that we have overhead. The best chance is over and east of the Cascades through tomorrow morning, and then it'll be extending northward into Washington later in the day on Saturday. Now look at Mount Hood right now. It's backdropped by some fairly ominous looking clouds, but again, as we saw on Doppler radar, we're not really getting any activity out of that, which is just fine. 68 degrees, not windy there, but it is windy in the Dalles. Look at this, the winds are gusting to 32 miles an hour. That's why we have fire weather warnings out for tomorrow for eastern Oregon because of those strong winds and low humidity. And look what the wind does to the smoke plumes from our local fires, all getting pushed rapidly and dramatically on off to the east. So we'll be smoke free here in the valleys. Our air quality is good right now for the most part in the Willamette Valley. So scattered thunderstorms are possible, not super likely, but possible overnight in the Cascades and east side. A morning sprinkle is possible here in the valley. Again, no major rainfall. Then it begins to clear out and we'll warm up again on Monday, but there's another chance of rain after that. We'll talk about all this later, David.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty good weekend though. Thanks, Matt. In your headlines, Longview police arrested a 46-year-old man after they say he exposed and touched himself outside a daycare. This was just before 9 a.m. Wednesday near 14th and Florida Street. Police say when they arrived, Bradley Barnes was looking toward the daycare and making sexual movements on the ground. There's no indication any children saw what happened. Barnes was arrested and booked into the Cowlitz County Jail for indecent exposure. An Oregon City man is behind bars accused of raping and kidnapping a minor, and investigators believe there might be other victims. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says Derek Douglas Reeder texted with the victim while working as a music teacher at a nonprofit in the summer of 2023. He was let go the following year, but still owns a guitar teaching business called Slinky Strings. Reeder faces 2 counts of rape, among other charges. If you have any information on this case, you're asked to reach out to the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. A reminder, if you or someone you know is a survivor of sexual assault, that help is available 24/7. A good place to start. The National Sexual Assault Hotline, the number is 800-656-4673. To Washington County now, and yet another North Plains city official, yes, another, who stepped down following exits by the mayor, the city manager, and 3 councilors. Officials announcing today City Council President and Acting Mayor Mandy Hagedorn has resigned, though they did not give a reason why. Meanwhile, City Council is accepting applications for the vacant mayor role and says it will start the process at its next meeting. A Cirque du Soleil performer who was badly injured during a Portland show is now suing the company for more than $16 million. Maria Konfektova fell 15 feet during a 2022 performance in the Cirque tent at the Portland Expo Center and broke 11 bones, including her skull, wrist, and lower back. Her lawsuit claims Cirque du Soleil failed to put proper safety measures in place, like mats or a net, and ignored her concerns about the rigging. OSHA later fined the company. Cirque du Soleil declined to comment. And nearly 14,000 birds have now died in a deadly botulism outbreak along the Oregon-California border. The outbreak started in early July, then got worse as heat depleted water levels, exposing mudflats and creating the conditions that fuel botulism. The toxin slowly paralyzes birds, and a biologist with the Bird Alliance of Oregon says its effects can be devastating.
So one of the things that happens with water birds in particular when they have botulism is they are often on the water when it gets to the point where they can't lift up their head. So a lot of those birds actually drown because they can't keep their head out of the water.
Water has started flowing back into the Tule Lake Wildlife Refuge, and Wicks says that's cut the number of sick and dead birds by about half. But she says without more water, this outbreak could be as bad or worse than 2024, when about 140,000 birds died. In an update, we are keeping a close eye on what is left of the Centennial Mills building this evening after that explosive demolition on Monday that took out the century-old water tower. The good news, it appears a section of NATO Parkway closed during that time has now reopened. Let's bring in Harley Coldiron in Northwest Portland with the update. Harley?
David, take a good look behind me because both lanes of traffic are back open, though there's not much going on right now. I promise you it is open. There are some detours in place. Fields Park does remain closed at this hour, and they are still urging the public to keep a safe distance from this demolition site.
Every day we are taking a walk with Tucker, so I can see the frustration of people who cannot use the park.
Neighbors have been upset, but understanding that part of NATO Parkway and Fields Park have had to close.
I respect it. Nobody wanted this to happen, but it's gone pretty smoothly considering the collapse and everything.
But late Friday, KGW was there as crews opened 3 lanes of traffic, but the reopening of Fields Park is still uncertain.
We all miss Field Park, not only the dogs, but the people walking around. It's just a fun place.
Dr. Lynn Lashbrook has lived and worked nearby for years. His business and others have taken a hit since the shutdowns, but he's looking long term.
I'm very optimistic. The Pearl, I always say plural the Pearl. We're starting to get pedestrian traffic back. We got the market. There's a lot going on in the Pearl.
However, the closures have appeared to cause some violence. Portland police say around 4 a.m. Friday, Timothy Warland rammed his car through the barriers of the closed-off part of NATO Parkway. Police say he then hit a security guard with his car and narrowly missed another. Portland police say they were able to catch up to the suspect here on the 4800 block of Front Avenue. They used what's called a pit maneuver, using their cop cruiser to hit the back of his car so it spirals and then stops. He was then arrested without incident. Warland was arrested and booked into Multnomah County Jail. He faces felony charges, including 2 counts of attempted assault and unlawful use of a weapon. Now, the security guard wasn't seriously hurt, and David, Fields Park will remain closed until experts can determine it's safe from dust, debris, and other hazards.
I know neighbors have a lot of questions about the timeline there. That's Harley Coldiron reporting. Thanks, Harley. Well, that sound means we have a couple of traffic alerts to be aware of this weekend, starting on the Abernathy Bridge. Southbound I-205 will be closed overnight tonight and Saturday southbound, so crews can pour concrete on the newly widened bridge deck. The closure runs from 11 to 7 both nights between 99E and Oregon Route 43. Northbound lanes will remain open. All right, you can also expect delays on the I-5 bridge, the interstate bridge overnight. There'll be rolling bridge lifts starting at 10 p.m. so crews can grease the cables that bring it up and down for ships on the Columbia. Work wraps up at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And there is more. We've told you about this. Major changes coming Sunday for some TriMet riders. That includes the Max Green Line. This is big. It will no longer run downtown in Portland State and will only run between Clackamas Town Center and Gateway. Instead, riders will have to transfer to a westbound blue or red line. The agency will also change 34 bus routes and eliminate 2 lines altogether. More details on this at kgw.com.